Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kindred, the podcast where we get to sink to the bottom of the ocean with amazing guests like ours today, at least figuratively. That was,
Right.
yes, not actually sinking to the bottom of the
Kind
ocean.
of glad I'm not actually. That's a little stressful for me to think about being in a teeny weeny thing and going to the bottom of
Well,
the
we'll
ocean, but
find out who doesn't agree with
I
us.
know.
And did y'all notice we switched up our intro music a bit? We just thought we'd freshen it up, tighten it up, just getting our listeners to the good stuff a little quicker. And speaking of listeners, welcome to our new listeners. A warm and jubilant welcome to you all. Aren't we thrilled to have all these new listeners joining our Kindred community to learn right along with us all about this incredible planet and how we can reconnect to animals and nature and help our fellow species. Right, sister?
Right.
Speaking of
Exactly.
sisters, this is my sister Jen, my co-host.
Hello.
And who
How
am
are
I?
you? Who
Hi,
are you?
I'm
Who are you?
Kate,
You
the
are Kate.
creator and host of this version of my version of Wild Kingdom. And also, yes, and the podcast about how we can all thrive together. And can we break for squirrels? Can we? Or maybe it's a rogue iguana in your world.
Maybe it
Email
is.
us, in fact, right? Email us at info@kindredpodcast.co and tell us what animals in your world try to cross the road 10 times and then finally settle on darting under your wheel. Tell us all about
Yeah,
that.
how does anybody do it like the squirrel? They talk about they're going, they're stopping, they're turning, they're going back. It's like, oh my gosh, if you
Whiplash.
just go,
Whiplash.
I will not murder you. Please,
I
come
will
on.
not. Right. I mean, they're taking years off my life. They
It's
really
very
are.
stressful. Yeah.
Yes. So, let us know all about the animals you would like to not run over. And if you'd like to hear, we'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to hear more from us, you can also sign up for our newsletter, which you can do via our website, kindredpodcasts.co.
Nice segue there, by the way.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Really
I don't
slick.
know, I don't know if have you seen these amazing wildlife bridges they're building?
I have seen them. Yes,
They
they are
are
amazing.
incredible. They are
Yeah.
incredible. We should do an episode on those actually. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
that would be very interesting. Yeah.
We need that for oceans as well, like migration lanes, that
Yeah,
boats can't
right.
use. I'm
Hmm.
sure whales can probably actually read at this point. We just don't
Yeah,
know it yet.
right.
So,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Wildlife lanes only. Speaking of oceans, let's get to our interview today.
Let's do it.
We gave a tiny little teaser, but let's give the real full story now.
All right, go for it.
Um, So today we are speaking with Dr. Don Wright, Chief Scientist of Esri and a specialist in marine geology, geography, oceanography, and a deep sea diver, to name just a few. And the company she works for, Esri, that stands for Environmental Systems Research Institute, a company that creates mapping and software technology and is a global leader in GIS, which is a geographic information system, and so much more. We'll let Dr. Wright elaborate in her own words because what she does and what they do is far reaching and extensive.
Hmm.
Um, Also, Dawn Wright, she made history in 2020 when she became the first Black person to visit Challenger Deep, the deepest and most unexplored place on Earth, and an experience she goes into great detail about in her new book, which was co-written with Esri Press, titled "Mapping the Deep: Innovation, Exploration, and the Dive of a Lifetime." And boy, is she not wrong. The book is
She is
so
not
good.
wrong.
She's
Yeah.
not wrong. We love the book. Um, Please buy it wherever you can buy books. I highly recommend it. And well, to me, Dawn, she's a Renaissance woman, right? In the world of oceanography and mapping systems, and her breadth of understanding of all things ocean is so far reaching as far as the depths of Challenger Deep. I mean, she is a brain to be reckoned with, and just
Hmm.
her knowledge and experience. And in our conversation, Dawn walks us through why mapping the ocean depths is so critical and the positive impacts this information is having on not only the health of our oceans, but what that means for us terrestrial beings, which, we often forget about what's living under the oceans, because
Hmm.
which let's change that. And Dawn is doing that. So also through her book. Um, and what an honor to speak with Dawn. She is not only a leader in her field, but she's a representative of and an inspiration for what could be. And she has dedicated her life to exploring the mysteries of the deepest parts of this earth and and then guiding all that knowledge to how we humans can be the advocates and guardians of what I think she would consider the sacred spaces that are our oceans and the sentient beings that inhabit them. Um, what an absolute honor and pleasure and inspiration to speak with with Dr. Wright. And um, you ready to dive into the mysteries of the deep?
Oh, let's do
Oh, let's do
it.
it. Let's dive into the mysteries of the deep with Dr. Dawn Wright. See you at the takeaway. Dr. Wright, hello, and a very warm welcome to Kindred.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
Well, we so appreciate it. And if you would please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Well, my name is Dawn Wright, and I am currently the chief scientist of Esri, which also stands for Environmental Systems Research Institute. Esri, first and foremost, is a software company and also a spatial data services company. Through our mapping and geographic information system technology, we quietly provide the operating system for much of what everyone does each day in terms
Wow.
of understanding where things are and how they interact. But we are also a nice mix of a technology company and a science company, and that's where I come in. So I facilitate our relationship with the scientific community, especially in terms of weather and climate, hydrology, geology and geophysics, ecology, conservation, biology, especially forestry, agricultural sciences,
Mm,
sustainability science, cartographic science, and ocean science.
wow, incredible.
So, so it's a fun job, and I also maintain my professorship at Oregon State University. So
Incredible.
plenty
So
to
you're
do.
not busy at all. Yeah, you barely you
Lots to
barely
do.
do anything. Yeah, you
Yeah,
barely do anything.
no
That's
big
a
deal.
very vast amount of things that you cover in your job. Like all those things you said. That's a lot.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And
Wow.
some people get the mistaken impression that I'm the only scientist at Esri. We have well over 100 PhDs at Esri,
Mm,
almost 2,000 scientists of varying disciplines, especially in the disciplines that I just named.
wow.
And we are the science of where. After many years, that word emerged in our tagline and in our mission, which made me very happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a wonderful company.
Incredible.
Very
Well,
cool.
thanks so much for joining us today. We are so pleased to meet you. And I'd like to congratulate you on your incredible book titled Mapping the Deep: Innovation, Exploration, and the Dive of a Lifetime. This book is such a comprehensive and inspiring and accessible read. Like somehow you were able to convey really complicated and scientific work of to those of us who are not fluent in your specific language and have it all make sense. All the while with an energy of enthusiasm that is absolutely contagious. I've really come away with a feel of what you do and why.
Oh, thank you so much. And I have to give credit to Esri Press. On the cover of the book, it says Dawn Wright with Esri Press.
Yes.
And so it was a collaborative project, and it came up with the idea for the book, and they worked on the writing, the science communication aspect of it was very high on their list, and so I want to give full credit to them. It was a pleasure working with Esri Press, and it's so awesome to be at a software company that has a press
Right.
that puts out books, not
Yeah.
just software documentation books, but now they
Hmm.
are getting more into trade books, and this is one of these.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it was great, and I'm just so glad that you're doing it. It was a great read, and like I said, it was really accessible, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, congratulations. So Don, before we dig into your incredible work and take a deep dive, pun intended, into some of the most extraordinary moments and experiences of your career, I'd love to go back a bit and have you tell us why you came to be an oceanographer and deep sea explorer. Like, what were the influences that compelled and guided you, and what formed your love and passion for the ocean and all the secrets of the deep sea?
Well, I'm a Hawaiian girl. I grew up on an island, so that will do it. That will
That'll do
explain
it.
that every time.
Yeah.
I grew up in Hawaii, being in and around water, the ocean myself. And I'm of the older generation of scientists, so I was born in the early 1960s and grew up with television in the 60s and 70s.
Hmm.
And on Sunday nights, Sunday evenings, television was dominated by the Jacques Cousteau
Oh,
program.
yes.
Oh, yes,
I
it
remember
was.
that.
I
Jacques
Yep.
remember.
Cousteau. I think
Hmm.
just about every little child before bedtime was watching that program along with The
Hmm.
Wonderful World of Disney.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
And we had Wild Kingdom. I don't know if you had
And
that
that
one.
Mutual
Mutual of
Omaha
Almost
Wild
was that
Kingdom,
was so cool too. Yeah.
yes, which is
Uh-huh.
now
Represent.
in a new
Yes.
phase. That program is in a new phase with Raywyn Grant as
Oh.
one of the co-hosts.
Oh, she's
Oh, cool.
fantastic.
He is fantastic.
Hmm.
So yes, these kinds of programs make an impact.
Hmm.
Mm.
They really do change the lives of people, and for me, that was definitely the case. I was extremely influenced by that.
Mm.
I was also we had libraries where children would spend time at the library with books in their
Hmm. Right.
summer reading programs.
Hmm.
And I love to hear about that still taking place. But for me, I had a teacher in particular who was my next door neighbor, and she influenced all of probably every single class. She was my fourth grade teacher, and I kept in touch with her until nearly her death
Oh, wow.
for my entire life. And she encouraged us to read books. And I remember one magical summer where for her class, I read tons of books that summer. And one of those books was Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island.
Oh,
Hmm.
And one of the central anchors of that story is Captain Flint's treasure map.
yes.
The irony of that is that as you read that book or watch the Disney movie, the details of that map are never revealed. You never see the map. But the way that the map is an anchor in the story, just the notion of that map's existence and what it could lead to, and how that drove Long John Silver and others to the point of obsession.
Hmm.
Mm.
That to me was powerful. And I started making my own little treasure maps and looking for my own
Oh,
little
I love
treasure.
that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
That's
And
awesome.
I absolutely adored that book and fell in love with the ocean and ocean exploration through that. And then finally, there was the Apollo 11 mission that happened.
Ah,
I mean, that was that summer, that magical
right.
summer included the Apollo 11 astronauts. And I was overtaken by all of that, obsessed by all of that. But it had a little bit of a different effect on me because I remember so many little children who decided that they wanted to become astronauts and wanted to go into space, and everybody was running around dressed
Yes,
up as astronauts. But
yes.
it had the opposite effect on me because I was already in love with the ocean
Mm.
and living on an island. I thought, well, 20,000 in terms of Treasure Island, and then also 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was another book
Hmm.
I read that magical summer
Yes.
about going into the ocean. I thought, well, why can't I do the same thing except explore in the ocean? And that one thing led to another, and that stayed with me. My mother encouraged me with in those dreams, and next thing I knew, I was seeking an oceanography program,
Mm,
or how to become an oceanographer, having finished high school, and went
amazing.
on from
That's
there.
so great.
Right, right.
Wow, so
So,
you had a singular focus at a very young age. You knew. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
I did,
yeah.
yes.
I
That's
love that.
incredible. That's so amazing to hear when people have that. And
It
just like
is.
the fact that you, at such a young age, too, really connected to the magic and mystery and sort of um, what can be and your curiosity, and just so deeply connected that to water. And I guess living on Hawaii and the culture and there's so much surrounding that. It's infused in so many different levels.
Oh, yes, and well, I'm going to pitch Moana 2, or the Moana films, because that you see that so powerfully there,
Yeah.
in that Disney film, and it's a beautiful film. And I've met Ali'i Crabajo, who's the voice of Moana. I met her last year and
Oh,
almost
wow.
melted into a puddle. She serves as a special ambassador
Yes.
for small island developing states and organizations that support them. So that's why she was at this particular conference. But these are very powerful, positive images for young people,
Mhm.
and I absolutely love to see that and to participate in another film. If you let me go, I will talk about movies all day long. But one
We'll give
more,
you one more.
one more is the live action Little Mermaid, that came out in 2023, especially for the Black community.
Mm.
Halle Bailey doing that was such a beautiful film, I thought, and she did such a beautiful job. And I had the chance to be in a conversation with the executive producer of
Mm.
that movie. And
Wow,
the
incredible.
conversation, I can give you the link to that, but the conversation is part of the National Academy of Sciences Science and Entertainment Exchange, which links scientists with the entertainment industry,
Oh, amazing.
and another way to communicate the wonders of the world,
Well,
especially for young people.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, the ocean is such a wonder of the world. And, Dawn, before we go further with you, I think it's really critical for us to understand how these wondrous oceans work. And, you know, our oceans are massive interconnected systems that have possibly the biggest impact on land, climate, temperature, weather systems. Many of us, for example, know that the ocean provides a significant portion of the Earth's oxygen through its circulation processes. But because we tend to be so hyper focused on land, we often don't fully understand how these systems actually work. So if you would walk us through how these interconnected systems work and why understanding them is so important.
Yes. Now, this could be an entire podcast in and of
Right.
itself.
Mhm.
It's
We'll
a
give it
wonderful
like, yeah,
question.
It's a
let's do
pretty
the
big
this
topic. Yeah.
I'll
it's
try
big as the ocean,
to
but yes.
hit on some big ones. I will start off, though, by giving you a book recommendation. One of the best books to answer this question, I think, is The Blue Machine: How the Ocean Shapes Our World by Helen Shersky. Uh, this is a book that you can hold in your hands, or she narrates the book
Okay.
as well and does a good job. She is an oceanographer, a physical oceanographer at the University
Mm.
College London.
Okay.
And what her book does, and what so many of us try to help the public understand, is that we've got to think of the ocean from the top to the bottom, not just focus on the surface. We are so used to focusing on the surface because that's what we see
Right.
Right.
when we stand at the beach,
Mhm.
or when we see even satellite images or photographs. We are looking at just the surface, or just the subsurface. And we really have to understand what happens beneath that, what happens in the deep ocean, because we're talking about an interconnected system that is horizontal, as you mentioned, with all of the currents. Those are surface currents. And it's those surface currents that drive our weather short term and our climate long term. But there's also this interconnected system vertically. And
Right.
that's why That's why in mapping the deep, we talk about
Mm,
mapping the deep. We
yes.
talk about that.
Yes.
So if you start at the surface, even in terms of oxygen, uh, over long time scales, yes, the ocean has provided a large fraction of the oxygen that we take in today, and that is a superficial process. And it's because of the primary production, the little plants, the phytoplankton at
Right.
the surface, which also sustains our food system.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think more deeply about, for instance, heat, so the ocean cycles heat, and that again affects us every day. But the ocean is capturing about 90% of the additional heat that is generated by our greenhouse gas emissions.
And those are
Uh,
coming from land.
that's coming from land.
Right,
And
right.
so
Mm-hmm.
that heat is being absorbed in the ocean from top to bottom.
Okay.
So it's not just being absorbed at the surface. And in terms of what we know now about the ocean, in terms of how deep it is, with an average depth of over 3 miles, and if we think about the ocean as a bathtub with volume,
Right.
about 41% of that volume is in these trenches.
Aha.
So that's why we wanted to tell the story of diving into the deepest trench of all. But there are dozens of these features around the world ocean.
Right.
The ocean also, so there's cycling of heat, but there's also cycling of carbon.
Right.
Mhm.
So we know about the absorption of carbon dioxide
Mm-hmm.
that the ocean takes in. It's about
Right.
1 ton of carbon dioxide per year.
Oh,
That's actually more than the global aviation industry.
wow.
So again, the ocean is buying us time
Right.
Mhm.
in this. And we know now about carbon sinks that are helpful, mangroves,
Mm-hmm.
seagrass, kelp, but also in terms of the deeper ocean,
Mm.
the carbon sequestration that takes place on the ocean floor.
Right. Okay.
So that's another important factor. The ocean is, people love marine biology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a geologist. Helen Sirski, who wrote The Blue Machine, she's a marine physicist,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't get away from the biology. That is so important. We all love it, and
Yep.
the ocean is home to the largest biosphere on the planet. So
Right.
50 to 80% of all life on Earth lives in the ocean, again, from top to bottom. And
50
we
to 80%. Let's just let
50 to
that all sink
80%.
in. I mean, that
Yeah.
is that's something we don't think of, land livers. So it's really important to hear that.
Yeah, and the life in the ocean, of course, there's most of the life is near the surface, but there's a ton of life. In
Right.
fact, let me take that back. Most of the life is in the twilight zone,
Okay.
which is the zone of increasing darkness. That's about 1,000 meters deep.
Okay.
That is a huge biosphere there.
Hmm.
And then there is life all the way down to the very bottom. We found life in Challenger Deep.
Right. And there are five, just so people know, there are five zones. And quickly, it's sunlight, twilight, midnight, abyssal, and hadal zone. So there's a
Yes.
lot going on here. And there's yeah, but we'll get more to that. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so I wanted to I could stop there. Um, or one last thing is that along with the biosphere uh, reality, we work with the National Geographic at Esri quite a bit,
Hmm.
including our National Geographic Pristine Seas colleague Enrique Sala, who is a very prominent marine ecologist and explorer.
Hmm.
And he talks all the time about and using hundreds of examples around the world that if we protect these places, that is going to spill over into helping our economy. It's
Right.
going to replenish our fisheries. It's going to help us with oxygen, all of these things that we need. And so this is where the 30 by 30 initiative has come from, protecting
Right.
30% of the ocean by 2030,
Right.
and the 30% in terms of just focusing on fisheries, that's going to produce spillover fish
Hmm.
that will help replenish these fisheries. So it's not just a question of biodiversity, it's
Yes.
also a question of food security.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So many people on the planet relying on ocean-based protein,
Right.
really the security of human civilization as we know it.
Right, right. And I think overall, it's not just understanding how the ocean works, but it's also its relationship to land and the ocean floor and what is happening as the Earth is moving. And people know about plate tectonics, but it's like to really understand that there is this top to bottom. It's like you're saying horizontal and vertical. And a lot of like the sunlight zone, twilight zone, these are the zones like we tend to um, as humans interact with the most, but there's so much more going on in this cyclical sort of relationship that the land has to the ocean is what I really think people and through your book will start to can understand more how critical these cycles are to me living here just outside of Philadelphia in my office talking to you. That's really what it comes down to. And I think we have a lot of that sort of, and we'll talk about it more like that out of sight, out of mind kind of perspective as land dwellers. It makes sense. Not everyone's deep sea dawn, and yet it's really important to understand these things. So thanks for that sort of like overall. I really appreciate that. So okay, I want to get to your dive to Challenger Deep now, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, let's go. Now, to be clear to our listeners, Don, you have done other dives around the world. However, we're going to single this one out, this dive, just specifically because it's the main focus in your book we referenced earlier, Mapping the Deep. This was the dive you took with undersea explorer Victor Vescovo in a two-person submersible vessel called Limiting Factor in order to travel approximately 7 miles to the ocean floor. Um, and that's at the bottom of that Hadal zone. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So, for those of us that may never experience this dive, not saying never, but what was it like from the moment you climbed into this little rig to sinking through all of these zones to the deepest part of the ocean?
Yes, and I want to again thank my pilot, my colleague Victor Vescovo, because he made all of this possible. And the book talks about his story and the five deeps expedition to dive to the five deepest places in the world ocean.
Right.
And he made all of this possible. And he has also been in space as well. He's one of the most prolific
Oh,
explorers.
wow.
I mean, he's a private equity
Wow.
investor. That's his day job,
Right.
but
Right.
but
Oh, wow. So that's
his
unusual,
inspiration.
probably, right? Someone's
Yeah.
been to space and to the deepest part of the ocean. That probably is not
Yes.
too many people can say
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he is absolutely incredible, and I would recommend any and all of his podcasts. But a lot of people ask him about having been in space and the deepest parts of the ocean. And he and others who've been in space talk about this overview effect, where when you're in space, you can see the Earth, a big portion of the Earth.
Right.
Now, my experience, having not been in space, but being on this particular dive, especially since it went, we call it full ocean depth,
Hmm.
Okay.
went from the surface to as deep as you can go. And I experienced the underview effect.
Hmm.
It's very humbling. You're like space, you're in a hostile alien environment, but it's also so beautiful, especially as you drop through these zones,
Right.
sunlight zone, and there's something remarkable about the blue. We have seen blue. We've seen the color blue in the sky, and people who have been in the ocean have seen
Mm.
have seen what that is like. But when you descend through the entire zone and you get to the middle of that sunlit zone, as you approach the end of it, the blue is just, it's like a drug for me. It's so, so beautiful. I could just
Wow.
stare out the window for forever.
What color
And
blue
then
is it?
it is well, it's aqua.
Okay.
It's it's a standard. What I saw was just a standard blue, but there's something, the translucence of it is
Hmm.
very hard to describe, but
Wow.
just remarkable and just beautiful and perfect.
Mm.
Wow.
That slowly goes away and it becomes gray,
Okay.
and then you are in pitch black
Hmm.
darkness.
Okay.
Uh,
And when do you get, where's the pitch black? Is that the midnight zone then?
yes, that we also call that the twilight zone. We hit that
Okay.
at around
Okay.
998, 980 some meters. Its
Okay.
standard number is about 1,000 meters
Okay.
deep.
Okay.
And most, so you, if you understand the ocean's average depth throughout the world to be around 4 to 5 kilometers, or that's about 3 miles deep, that's
Right.
the average depth, and you hit um, the midnight or the twilight zone at just 1,000 meters.
Right.
Yeah.
Tells you that most of the ocean is dark.
Right.
Right.
Yet all of these creatures are living in this darkness, but also they have lives. They have purpose,
Yes.
and they it's beauty. All that beauty is there, and we saw
Hmm.
the bioluminescence.
Oh,
That's
Mm.
wow.
in fact, Victor flashed the lights of the submersible as we entered that zone, and we got flashes back at us.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Little communication. They didn't know what this craft was, what this big
yeah.
picture was, but it's like, oh,
Right.
well,
Well,
we're
hello,
going
new
to
species
continue.
of tiny craft with two
Wow.
beings in there. Wow, amazing.
I was just going to ask you if you were able to turn lights on at all, or if that would have been too disruptive for the whole underwater, but you did. So
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Now we didn't really need to turn lights on during the descent. During the descent, we wanted to save as much energy as
Mm,
possible, as much
okay.
battery power,
Okay.
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the submersible is untethered. It's completely on its own.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
It runs on batteries. And
Okay.
so the nice thing about the design of the submersible, the way that it's shaped like a large manila envelope,
Oh, wow.
the way that I think of it. So purposefully to slip through
Hmm.
the depths as quickly and efficiently
Hmm.
as possible.
Right.
So it can get to the bottom as
Got it.
quickly as possible. And then
Yeah.
with our battery power, we turn on the lights then
Okay.
do our surveying or whatever the mission of the
Mm.
submersible is. So we got there in 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's the limiting factor. It's now called the Bakunawa because it's under different ownership.
Okay.
You can get to the deepest places of the ocean faster than any other craft, and there really isn't any other craft that's like it. The Chinese have a submersible that's shrouded in mystery. We don't know much about that
Mm.
particular craft, the Fengdo,
Okay. Okay.
because it's a it belongs to the Chinese government.
Okay.
Mm.
That makes sense.
So
That makes
enough
sense.
said there.
Yeah.
Right.
James Cameron's submersible only had one descent before that was
Mm.
all that it was able to do. There
Yeah.
were mechanical problems and
Okay. Okay.
it never went back.
Okay.
So
And
the
just to be
limiting
clear to
factor,
our listeners too, people need to know like this submersible is tiny. It's like there's two full-grown humans in this, but you are packed in there. I mean, this is like you guys in a little pod here that is it's not large. Um
Well,
so
and that was my next question. So it takes 4 hours to get down there, and then how long did you hang out down there? Like, how long was this whole entire trip?
the whole dive was 10 hours.
Okay.
okay.
And we are packed in there very tightly. It's like being in a space capsule.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have everything within reach of us. It's right
Right.
there.
Yeah, for sure.
We're actually sitting in a sphere that is enveloped by syntactic foam, and then there's the outer casing of the limiting factor. But you see the limiting factor from the outside in terms of its shape, but we are
Mm,
sitting in a titanium sphere within that vessel.
right,
Got
right.
So if
it.
you're sitting inside of a sphere, a little ball,
Yeah,
and you have everything that you need right there, there
Mhm.
isn't very much space. We were basically sitting in two gaming chairs next to each.
Yeah,
right,
that's
right,
kind
right,
of what I
right.
pictured, a gaming
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah,
actually. That's funny.
So
it's
now,
Wow.
actually very comfortable.
as you're sinking through these zones, are you hearing like what are you hearing anything? And then you don't have a lot of lights on, so you're kind of flashing them on and off. So you're seeing things when you turn on the lights, but are you hearing anything?
No,
Okay.
we again, our purpose was to get to the bottom as quickly as possible. So it
Mhm.
was
Got
very
it. Yes.
like a
Makes
quiet
sense.
elevator ride.
Lovely. Okay.
And there's just darkness outside of the submersible. Outside, what we're seeing through the window is just darkness with
Okay.
occasional
S-
bioluminescent activity. We talked a lot. We during the descent,
Okay.
it took me through all of the safety measures within the sub. I
Okay.
had from my colleague Kate Wabatai, who is now a submersible pilot herself.
Oh, right.
He went through all of that with me, so that took some time, and then we also had a lot of time just to talk and to get to know each other and to
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
become friends.
Yeah. Amazing.
Once we hit the bottom, that's when the work began.
Yeah.
We had
Right.
battery power for about 2.5 hours on the bottom.
Okay.
Each
Okay.
dive has different requirements depending on what you plan to do. If you plan to sample or if you plan to just ride around and look at things.
Right.
In our case, we were actually running a prototype mapping device. So that was the purpose of our dive was to
Mm.
test this first ever side scan sonar mapping device. It
Okay.
its own energy requirements, and so that limited us to about 2.5 hours on the bottom.
Okay.
I think the record dive, which was Victor and Hamish Harding, and Hamish Harding is one of the people who perished in the Ocean Gate 3
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
disaster. But I think those
Terrible.
two had around 4 hours on the bottom because they were
Okay.
mainly just observing.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know the particulars of their dive, but we had about 2.5 hours, and then we needed the final bit of our energy to get us back up to the surface, and we had about I think it was a 2.5 to 3 hour ascent.
Okay.
And part of this is also adjusting for the currents.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's a reality in the deep ocean that people don't think about. We know about currents at the surface, but there are currents that are cycling the heat, especially through from top to bottom,
Right.
along the bottom. We were actually pushed by a current that pushed us around 600 meters
Oh.
off course.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Okay.
And we were and it also pushed the little robot, the lander that was supposed to be with us to help us navigate once we landed.
Okay.
And we never did see that lander. Thankfully, it landed in a place. We landed in our place close enough so that we could still use it. We could still ping off of it.
Okay. Well,
But
that's very
but
lucky.
we never
Wow.
saw it.
Yeah.
The only
Okay.
Wow.
for us to
Okay.
see it and to actually run our mapping system over it so that we
Okay.
map its position and capture its image in our imagery,
Right.
just to show that our mapping system was working. But
Right.
we didn't get a chance to do that.
So now when you're down there, what do you rest on the bottom? Are you on sand? Are you sitting there? Are you floating? And what's below you?
Oh, well, most of the time you are above the seabed or the seafloor
Okay.
because the idea is to touch down and look around, but we have things to do
Mhm.
in terms of we had to lift off of the bottom in order to run our sonar
Right.
because you have to be far enough off the bottom so that you can get some decent imagery coming in.
Okay.
There's enough distance for the sound pulses to bounce off of the seafloor and come back to the instrument.
Got it.
And
Okay.
by the way, we were using the same model of instrument that was used uh, during the search of the Endurance.
Mm.
Ernest Shackleton's ship that was lost in the Antarctic and was finally discovered. It was discovered in February of the year that we went to Challenger Deep. So very, very exciting.
Yeah,
Wow.
wow.
The whole story of the Endurance is told now on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Disney Plus movie about it. And very, very important for me is that Lego has released a set so you can build the Endurance.
Oh, very cool. That's
That's
amazing.
why.
I love that.
At any rate, they found the Endurance thanks to many factors, including the side scan sonar surveying that they were doing. And this type of technology is often used to find shipwrecks
Okay.
like the Endurance, but also downed planes
Okay.
Mm.
and other types of infrastructure. But it can be used also to do geology in terms of understanding where faults and mounds
Hmm.
and
Amazing.
and different geologic formations are. We
Hmm.
purposely landed in the a place within Challenger Deep that was flat.
Okay.
Challenger Deep is actually made up of three depressions: the Eastern Pool, the Central Pool, and the Western Pool. Most people who have been to Challenger Deep go to the Eastern Pool because that's where the records are set.
Okay.
And Victor Vescova holds the record for 10,935 meters within the Eastern Pool.
Amazing.
So that he has that record now as having established the depth of this region, Challenger Deep. If you
Incredible.
go to the central and the western pools that are a little shallower, our dive went to a maximum depth of 10,919 meters.
Okay. All right.
But in
Yeah,
each of
that's steep enough for me. I mean, you're
it
down
was deep
there.
enough,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
down there. So
In each of
I'm kind of imagining it like you're down there and it's all smooth and sandy, but there must be so much going on around. I mean, it's not like landing. I kind of feel like it's almost like the reverse of like mountains and sky. You're not just floating through and there's nothing on the sides of you. I mean, you're kind of like have to navigate a little bit. Are you just literally just floating through and you just land on the sandy bottom?
yes, sandy or in this case silty.
Okay, right,
Because
silty. That makes
uh,
sense. Yeah. Oh,
the
interesting. It's funny what you kind of
sediment
imagine in
there.
your brain. Okay.
The
All right.
sediment there is made up of creatures who have died over millions and millions of years, and their little
Mm.
carcasses have floated to the bottom and created the sediment
Oh,
there.
wow. Incredible.
Um, but each of these pools has they are pools, and they have in their middle a little flat area.
Okay.
So the idea is to land in this flat area and then to travel around or travel across. What we did was to travel from the center of the western pool to the wall of the trench because you are in a trench and you've got these
Right.
steep walls on either side of you.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, even when you hike in the Grand Canyon, for
Right.
instance, get to the bottom of the canyon, there's the river there, Colorado,
Right.
and there are flat areas
Hmm.
uh, once you've gotten to that bottom, but you have traversed these steep walls to get
Hmm.
to that
Yes.
bottom. And
Right.
that's
Absolutely.
very much what Challenger Deep is like. In fact, you can fit, thanks to my colleague John Nelson, one of our star cartographers who has done the cartographic work that we feature in the book, Mapping the Deep. And he has fashioned these wonderful infographics that show that you can fit six Grand Canyons in Challenger Deep.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Of them
Wow.
and
Wow.
other
Yes.
means of comparison.
Six of
But
them. It's really incredible.
it
Incredible.
is incredible. And for me as a geologist, this is a zone of plate destruction. This is
Ah,
where the huge Pacific plate is being subsumed into the earth under the Philippine Sea plate. And we saw these vast fields of angular blocks that had been scraped. This was material, basaltic, igneous rock material that had been scraped off of the top of the Pacific plate as it's making its way into the Earth's interior.
oh,
And
wow.
we saw that.
Wow.
And so and also in these mounds of these angular boulders, there were tiny creatures living there. It was like their little condominiums.
Amazing. That is
Little
incredible.
anemones and sea cucumbers and the strange little creatures that are called hydroids. And it's
Wow.
just a miracle that anything is functioning, living down there, first of all, in
Yeah.
complete darkness. But
Right.
the deeper you go, the more pressure you
Yeah.
have, pressure of the
Wow.
overlying 7 miles on you. That's about 16,000 pounds per square inch.
Right.
Wow.
And they have evolved to withstand that.
Yeah, that is so incredible. Think about that. So when you're at the bottom, you're doing your mapping, it's time to go up. Do you and Victor have is there a moment where this is registering for you, or does this come later?
Registering in terms of what
That
we are.
that you are at the bottom of Challenger Deep, and here you are sitting there with this other human that you will only have done it with this. Is
Oh,
this hitting you at that moment, or does that
oh
come
yes,
later?
that hit us. That usually hits you when you first touch down, when you first
Okay.
arrive.
Okay.
And for us, it's always a moment of joy, and it's a wondrous thing. It's uh, again, it's hard to describe, but for me, it was just joy.
Yeah.
And Victor is also wonderful about stopping so that you can say things into the camera. If you want to make, I dedicated the dive, for instance, to 7 people or
Right.
seven that is in the book. And so
Yes.
he stops to give you an opportunity to talk into the camera.
Mm,
Everything that we did and said was recorded by 3 GoPro cameras
mm,
inside the submersible.
Hmm.
There is that moment where you can make that dedication. We
That's
actually
sweet.
did not make the dedication until near the end of the dive when we were about to
Okay.
ascend,
Okay.
because we were interrupted by the sighting of the beer bottle. We had this joy of having made it to our destination in the western pool of Challenger Deep. And then we saw this green thing off in the distance, and we went to investigate it only to find that it was a fully intact beer bottle, label and everything. And
Wow.
that when I tweeted about it, once we got back to the surface, that tweet went viral. People are still talking about the beer bottle. But it
Yeah.
is a symbol
Yes.
of how we are affecting this planet even before we could get to this place that no other human being
that's right.
into that
Yeah.
particular coordinate, there was that stupid beer bottle that's
Yeah.
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 went
Unbelievable.
overboard.
And that leads me to where I want to go next. I think this is a perfect segue, and it also reminds me of one of my favorite um, quotes that you say in your book, and that is, "There is no planet B." And this beer bottle is such an incredible symbol um, of the human impact at the depths of where we are. So, Dawn, I'd like to dig into why mapping the ocean floor is so critical. And this is where we're going to get into a whole list of reasons that lead us to conservation and best practices, understanding changing climates, mining, renewable energy, and technology connected with cables. For us, maybe the biggest question is, how do we protect the ecosystems, resources, and wildlife that live in the deepest parts of our oceans if we don't have a real understanding of how we're potentially impacting these spaces and the ramifications of our actions? And this is where the beer bottle is such a great example of this.
Yes. Well, in 2 words, we can't. We can't have an understanding. We can't know unless we are able to map. And this is why the mapping is such a foundational part of all of these ways that we use the ocean before we put in offshore infrastructure for energy, before we fish, before we lay submarine cables so that we have 95% of our global internet and data traffic going through these cables, by the way.
Right.
There is no Disney Plus. There is no Kindred podcast
Right.
global without the bottom of the ocean. But the mapping is such a fundamental initial step to all of this. And this is why, for us at Esri, we are so involved in many of these projects because the mapping lays out uh, what the situation is, but also is a language that we can communicate across all of our different countries and sectors and ways that we want to use the ocean. Everybody can see the map in this case, the map of the ocean floor and the undulations of the ocean floor, and we can map with sonar, but we can map visually so that we can actually capture where these creatures are living,
Right.
capture images of where these creatures are living, and put those on the map.
Right. Like those blocks you were talking about, you wouldn't know that they were there if you weren't mapping this. Like what is actually down there and what's the impact? I mean, it's so critical.
Yes, you wouldn't know that those fields of boulders, I call it Flintstone's quarry.
Right.
Wouldn't know that that's a habitat
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
creatures are living there.
Exactly.
So
Because we just think, oh, it's way, way down there. Nothing could survive. Nothing's down there, and everything's down there.
yeah, and this is the controversy with deep sea mining now,
Hmm.
where
Right.
we have the technology to mine vast areas of ocean for these nodules, these
Yes.
nodules that are rich in certain minerals, but not minerals that are necessarily needed for batteries. Now there
Aha.
are other ways that we can get the technology of battery development is moving along very quickly to the point where it is not I don't want to say necessary, but it's not it is not front and center that we need to be ravaging these huge areas of the ocean that we don't even know what is there in terms of species. And there have been literally thousands. In fact, I think the number is 5,000 plus species discovered recently in the Clarion-Clipperton zone of the Pacific, where many of these deep sea mining leases would be issued because the scientific community went out there quickly to
I
uh,
bet they did.
and to get a census,
Yeah.
living census of what's there.
Wow. 5,000 plus, of course. But like again, and that's great to hear that battery science is coming to the point where maybe we don't need these, what are they called? The polymetallic nodules? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
they
Okay.
often are full of manganese and iron.
Yeah.
Yes.
Victor is much more eloquent and powerful on this subject because he comes at it from the economic standpoint to the business
Yeah.
standpoint. He makes the
Right.
case that it's not even good. It's
Good
not even a
business
good return
practice.
on
Yeah.
investment.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But the point that I try to bring out in the conversations that I have is why on a planet where 70% of this planet is ocean? In fact, those of us who are living on land, we're the weirdos.
Yeah.
We are
Right.
we are in these strange places, 30% on these land masses.
Hmm.
Everybody else is an ocean creature.
Right.
Hmm.
We're just the
Uh,
ones that crawled out on the earth and started breathing here. I mean, everyone else stayed there.
but we are the humans,
Yeah.
and we have the technology and we have the ability to either destroy the 70% or to be caretakers of it. Why
Yes.
would we want to be in the dark about that 70%?
Right.
Why do
Hmm.
we only care about 30%? It's really about knowing the totality of where you live. It's about knowing all aspects of your neighborhood or your community.
Hmm.
Yes.
In the GIS
Absolutely.
world, we call this locational intelligence,
Yeah. Right.
using that intelligence for good, especially against bad actors.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
it's
And
also about modernizing and doing good business.
yeah.
On
Yes. Right.
And like you were saying, like you and Victor, if it can become like, okay, well, let's make this economically make sense. That's where it's going to hit more big business and things like that too. It's really critical. But for us to hear that and to get that into our minds too is, and you're the first person I've heard recently say battery science is changing. So let's not go reap the bottom of the ocean and maybe eradicate who knows how many species out of these 5,000 plus you're just talking about. I mean, it's so, so critical. And
Yeah, and I think it's great that science is working with business. Like I think it's fantastic that someone like Victor is on this journey
yeah,
with you, literally and figuratively,
right,
because a lot of times those two things can appear to be at odds. The scientists are saying we have to protect, and other people are saying we have to make money, we have to progress. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I think it's
Hmm.
very interesting if you
Mhm.
can work together. I feel like that's very encouraging
Yeah,
to me to hear that
same.
they don't have to be at odds.
Right.
It is so well stated, Jennifer, because you've essentially described the blue economy.
Mm,
Mm,
The blue economy is about taking things sustainably from the ocean, but also giving back to the ocean so that we've got this cycle.
yeah,
I think the easiest way to understand it is with fisheries because we can all relate
yeah.
to
yeah,
uh, seafood and wanting seafood. There's some people like my hero Sylvia Earle who has taken the stance of not eating seafood at all. And part of it is part of the reason for that is because we have not followed this a necessary cycle of not only taking things, but also being able to leave the area
Mhm.
alone so it can replenish.
yes,
She also takes the stance that these are wild creatures
right,
and to leave them alone and
yes,
get your protein, your nutrition from other sources. But it's really the idea, especially for small island developing states that rely on fish protein. They already lead the way, especially in Palau, where you let an area rest and recover, and you don't take more than you need.
Mhm.
right.
Part of
Yes,
Well, and what does
absolutely.
that
Right.
remind you of, Kate? Like we've talked to Native American people who that's the whole philosophy of how
Take
they've
what you
lived
need.
for millennia, right?
Hmm.
Is they offer back and they only take what they need, and you never take more than you need and you never take it all. And just that
Mm,
idea that is so beautiful that we could really benefit from reminding ourselves
absolutely.
about.
Absolutely. And it is so critical to like you said, like these are animals that they exist and are equally, this is our kindred thought is we're all on the even playing field. One is not more important than the other. And to really sort of absorb into that idea, if we can all just keep sort of thinking in that way, it can shift things monumentally.
Absolutely, yes.
And, I think too, it's just sort of also thinking about the health of the ocean equals the health of this planet and us. And um, the out of sight, out of mind
Yeah.
needs to just be
Mhm.
done. I hear people say that all the time, and I'm pretty over that. Like it's like, okay, but it's not out of mind now. So put it in your internal sight. Like think about it the other way. Um, so yeah, I just the work you're doing is just it gets emotional for me sometimes to think about what people like you are doing to change these perspectives and the people that you're talking about is just so critical. Um, Before we go, Dawn, I would like to switch gears a bit, if that's okay, and focus on you in context to representation. I feel like representation is so critical in these spaces that we're talking about, such as oceanography and deep sea diving for those of us who might not feel like we have the ability or access or even legitimacy to be a part of this world of science. I mean, there are so many brilliant minds out there just waiting to be inspired. And we need these young minds to be a part of this conversation and the incredible and critical work that you and Esri is doing for the sake of this planet and all of these creatures that we're talking about. So, why is it so important for you as a woman and a woman of color to share your story and experience and be a role model for young girls and women, especially?
Oh, that's the question, isn't it? That's a beautiful question. And for your
Another small question, Dawn. Another tiny, tiny question.
We go big here at Kindred. Let's go big. Dawn
that's
goes big. We're right there with her.
for your listeners who maybe are just listening and are not able to see me, I am Black. Because I mentioned earlier that I was a Hawaiian girl. I'm like President Obama. I am an African American, a Black person who grew up in Hawaii, but I feel very, very strongly about this for the Black community as well. And this is an area where we have been there's so many there are not enough of us in so many spaces throughout society. This is one of the most chronic, and
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
important to let young people know that this is for you as well. This is something that you can aspire to one day. And so I'm very mindful of being the first Black person to go of any gender to go to Challenger Deep. And as I was preparing to go on the dive, I was also closely following in the news someone else's story, that of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson,
Oh, yeah.
as she went through a very tough U.S. Senate nomination process.
Yes. Oh,
All of
yeah.
these racial issues were brought out in an ugly way and laid at her feet.
Yes.
But she eventually overcame, and she's now the first Black woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. And
Yep.
during that time, I was continually inspired by that. It is significant to be the first as a way to inspire and encourage others, especially little children, young people, little boys. I have little boys, little white boys running up to me and hugging me in my dive talk on
Kids.
ISA, and it's all so precious. It's all so
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
And one day we will not have to talk about this. We will not
Right.
have to
Yes,
talk about the
please.
first.
Yes, please.
But
In the
as we
meantime,
right now, we have a long way to go, and we are not there yet.
right.
And in fact, I get encouraged and discouraged
Yeah.
about how ultimately changing the world for racial equity and justice, and we're going to say the words diversity, equity, and inclusion here.
Thank you. Thank you,
This is
ma'am.
part of a long-term process
Yes.
because what's happening in our country right now, we're seeing how so many people are struggling, girls,
Yes.
women, people of color, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ plus community. This is what Coretta Scott King was talking about, I think. She said that struggle is a never-ending process,
Mm-hmm.
and freedom is never really won. You have to earn it and win it in every generation.
Right.
So here we are, and for me, I feel as though I don't have I try to do my part. I feel very insignificant oftentimes, and I just go individual by individual, school by school. We have it's wonderful to work with Esri, a company that has values that are like this and that reaches so many people through our conferences and through the work that we do with educational institutions and nonprofits and governments and community organizers. It's really, we all have to hope that, in my case, this adventure that I was on will inspire young people,
Right.
especially young Black people.
Yeah.
And ultimately, this is how science gets better.
Absolutely. This is all these young minds I'm talking about, these brilliant young minds who are just waiting for access. And this is like, and I think we use the word inspiration more than hope because that's where inspiration can lead to the action. Like
Yes.
you were inspired as a child watching all those shows, as I was, and just sort of like and thinking, oh, that's amazing. Seeing like a woman like Jane Goodall do stuff like I was like, oh, well, that's representation. If you see someone like you, it sort of is a little bit of an in way for other people. And that's what's so, and I think you're not insignificant. I'm thinking you're making a huge impact in this space, and it's incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. I usually just try to keep my head down and stay out of trouble.
There you go. That's a good way to do
Do the
it.
best
Except
I
that you're
can.
constantly putting yourself in trouble potentially. So, Dawn, I'm
Good
thinking
trouble.
you're missing something. I'm not really sure if that's going well. So, well, that's really beautifully said, and thank you for that. So we always end our conversations with the same question for our guests, and that is, why is this conversation so important? From your perspective, why is it critical for us to hear and learn about your life's work?
Well, that's a wonderful last question, and it brings us full circle back to the book, Mapping the Deep. So thank you, because it absolutely matters that our stories are told, and that in the case of the book, my story is told. You never, ever, ever know who will be affected
Hmm.
by that and how. And there are also other stories in the book, Mapping the Deep. I was extremely affected and empowered by the stories of Kathy Sullivan,
Hmm,
the first American woman to walk in space, who also is the
right.
first woman to Challenger Deep. And it's through her friendship and her ties with Victor that paved the way for my dive, and with
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
also for our relationship between Caladan Oceanic, Victor's company, and Esri. You know, Kathy Sullivan was at the tip of the spear of that. Also, Sylvia Earle, Marie Tharp, their stories are told in the book too.
Yep.
And then there are other people like Mae Jemison, the first Black woman in space,
Mm-hmm.
but even the stories of Misty Copeland, the ballet dancer, Winona LaDuke,
Mm-hmm.
the native activist, Deb Haaland,
Mm-hmm.
who just finished her term as our Secretary of the Interior. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, for me, Caitlin Clark,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
lighthouse for me in basketball. And I'm
Hmm.
a cyclist, so I admire Lizzie Deignan and Kristen Faulkner. Kristen
Mm.
Faulkner, the U.S., who took two gold medals
Yep.
at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
These stories. If you can see yourself in any aspect of someone's story, that is a total lifeline, I think, for anyone.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's important.
Well, that's really beautifully said, and we absolutely agree. And I just want to end with one other thing, a quote from the book. I believe that you said this, and it is, everything is connected, everything is in motion, and everything is circulating. And to me, that just wraps up you and your life's work and the book and the oceans. And I really urge people to get this book, Mapping the Deep. I'm not kidding when I say it's written in an accessible way. I understand so much more about what you're doing and the work and why mapping the deep is so critical. And it was such a great answer to a lot of questions that I knew I had and didn't know I had. So, Dawn, how can we support you other than buying the book? What would you suggest?
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And also on behalf of my Esri Press colleagues who worked so hard to make this book a reality and actually made it a reality.
Right.
The book has an audio version, so people are welcome to get the audio version too. And Gwen Steele is the narrator. She and I do small parts of the narration, but her narration is just beautifully done, perfect for the book. So
Oh,
please
lovely.
get the audio version and just continue to follow the work that we're doing. I represent Esri, my work and Esri's work, and we are one. So if people would continue to follow me on social media and the work that we're doing at Esri, and follow Esri on social media, follow Esri's Ocean initiative, and I can give you some websites there. We are preparing to go to the Esri Federal GIS Conference next week in Washington, D.C., which will include the Ocean Weather and Climate Summit.
Oh, great.
So we have all kinds of initiatives, but we have special events, meetings like that, and it's all available for people to follow on social media. I am on all of them
Okay, great.
as Deepsea Dawn.
Yeah, and we'll be putting links in our show notes to all of the things that we've been referencing throughout this conversation. I just want to end with a little teaser for your book, and I just want to say, you and Victor weren't the only ones on the dive to Challenger Deep. I will say there was another little tiny comrade who we'll call Snoopy. And if you'd like to know more about that, you're going to have to buy the book and find out, or do a little digging into Don's world. So that's a little teaser for everyone.
Yes, and another little teaser is there's a Lego stop motion animated film about the first part of our dive.
Oh, fantastic.
Get that on the accompanying website, which has hundreds of resources for community groups, for classes, for teachers, for children, for anyone who is curious.
Okay, that's
That's
excellent.
at mappingthedeep.com.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, yeah, that I've been on that. It is a wealth of information. It is a fantastic site. Well, Don, thank you so much for your brain, your time, your enthusiasm, and just like your just deep care and love for this planet is just so inspiring. And we're so grateful to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It was a lovely conversation. I really treasured it. And I think Riley is awake.
Oh,
Oh,
Riley, the golden retriever for
yes.
your
Riley,
Yes, yes,
cute.
yes. Another key player in Don's life. So I
Yes.
wish
So he's hoping you're done now. He's like, Mom, are you
Yes.
done yet?
he's feeling the hour is nigh. So yes.
That's
Well,
right.
Don, take care. Good luck in all your ventures, and we will definitely be keeping a close eye on all your work. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the takeaway. Wowza. Wowza. What an incredible conversation. I mean, my mind was blown a couple times, and I even, had read her book, and just hearing Dawn speak about these experiences was just, especially like talking about the color of the water and just her whole the whole feeling and vibe of it, and just her passion. She's just the definition of inspiration from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I loved hearing about her early childhood.
Me too. That was so great. Yeah.
Yeah, just the shows she watched, like Jacques Cousteau and Wild Kingdom, and reading books like Treasure Island. And you and I can just so relate to that. Like nature shows. I mean,
totally.
This is what we watched.
Right. And not only that, but how that completely translated to that's what I'm going to do. And she was so sure, so young. I always feel so jealous is the wrong word, but jealous of people who are like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. And then she set her course and she achieved it. I mean, she just didn't, that's the kind of person she is too, that she's just like, I know now what I'm going to do, and now I'm just going to do what it takes to get there. And singularly focused. Yeah. And then having her whole life to prepare and grow. And and just, I think also this is all part of the story, like her growing up in Hawaii, and how that just grew into her bones, the deep respect and the connection that people there have to the ocean for a very long time. It's a cultural thing. And I just loved how you could tell how far back this goes for her. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And, and just how I think, what I also found so moving was the creatures that she saw when she was 7 miles down in the depths, the deepest part of this planet, right? And here are these creatures living in these little rock formations, and there they are. They're just living. That's what they do. They live there. And think about, there's like 5,000 new species they've discovered recently. And she was talking about how 50 to 80% of wildlife lives in the ocean. Most of the living beings on this planet live in the ocean.
In the water. I know. And I know it's crazy. And just that, I was just talking to somebody about this interview, and they were saying, oh, my son's obsessed with all those ugly fish that live down there. They are. They're really creepy looking, some of them. To us, to the untrained eye, it's like, these are freaky looking things. But to her, it's all that magical world that she's obsessed with and that she's devoted her life to. It's just kind of cool. Yeah.
And just these beings are sentient and so vulnerable and so innocent. Like she was saying, when they flashed on their lights down there, and these animals would flash their lights back.
That was crazy. I know. That's like E.T. It feels like E.T. or something. It's like they actually are trying to communicate.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey. Oh, hi. Yeah. Hi. Just there's so much like just sweetness that you want to protect that.
Yeah. Sweetness and yes. And to me also, it's like the generosity of their spirit that they're like, oh, hey, who are you? And just the kind of curiosity too. It's just kind of feels like a movie. Like, is that actually real?
For sure. And she's one of a very small, portion of people who were able to do this.
Yes.
And, that she's so dedicated also to being a representative for children and girls and people of color and the Black community. And, just with her big heart and brain, the combination is such a force.
Yeah.
And, she's, because of that, creating an even bigger space for inspiring the young minds we need so much. And, and it takes me all the back how she was inspired by the moon landing, but she's like, I'm going the other direction.
Yeah, I know. And it is the same. It's the same kind of just that so few people get to do that. It's so hard to get there. And yet, I and something almost more otherworldly to me about going down into water than going up into space even. It's like, that is so, like, to me, I don't even like snorkeling very much, so I don't think I could ever do it. But just that idea that, and when she said it took 4 hours to descend, it's like, that's a long time when you're in a vessel that's created
think of driving 4 hours in a car. That's a long time.
Exactly.
That's not 5 minutes or half an hour,
Right.
Yeah.
In the dark mostly, she said too. That would
mostly.
Be quite an experience. Yeah.
Well, I just think I think she would agree. It is otherworldly, and you're in a quote unquote hostile environment. But
to her, it was magical and beautiful. And to me,
it is to me too. I get to read it and hear from it and experience it. And she's that inspiration.
Yep.
And she just really is a beacon. She really is. I think she is an exceptional human. So thank you so much to Dawn for speaking with us. What an absolute honor. And she also has just such a joy in her, and she loves Snoopy and Lego. And I just find that really relatable to so many people, and with that, how smart she is, and yet very accessible. And I just so appreciate her. So I just want to leave us, take us out with a little section from her book, Mapping the Deep, on page 157. I will try to read this without getting choked up, but you know how I am. And if you don't, well, you'll learn soon enough that the tears flow easily around here. So she writes, "The good news is that we, a collective we, have the technology to do this. We also have centuries worth of traditional ecological knowledge to draw on, and the knowledge of indigenous scientists whose seafaring peoples have long been studying and protecting the ocean that sustains us. And together we must get to know every inch of the earth, every crevice and fissure of our seafloor, to understand how our planet works. Only then can we fully understand the challenges we face and see the solutions clearly." And I just thought, it takes me back to those creatures that were flashing their lights and hello to her and greeting them with pure, absolute, like you said, joy, kindness, curiosity, innocence. And to me, that paragraph really sums up Dawn and her work and what they're doing at Esri. And it hits me right in the heart space. Because we really do owe it to the creatures of this planet. They are our kindred species, all of them, and we don't deserve them. That's for sure. When all they do is like, oh hi, hello, man.
Yeah, I know.
Hi,
just kindness and
what
openness. Yeah.
Good luck on your see you on the way up, baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yes, we will, of course, as always, put all links to websites and to Esri and to Dawn and her book and everything in our show notes, and you can find them on our website. Please share this episode. It's a huge support, not only for us, but for Dawn and her work. And please, if you really love us, consider buying us a cup of coffee or subscribing. That would be even also amazing. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks again to the people, the Dawns of the world, and we will see you next time. Lots of love.
Bye.
Kindred is hosted by me and my sister Jen, produced by Kat Gaddy and myself. Sound production and editing by Dan Cooper. Original music by Ellie Grace, and our Kindred artwork was created by Lindsay Coffin. Please follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and feel free to contact us through our website at kindredpodcast.co, where you can also find details about Kindred Plus, our subscription service, as well as links to our social media accounts and show notes.